Crafters! Welcome back to my channel Because I'm Crafty. My name's Katelyn, and today I'm going to show you guys my London vlog. So I asked you guys on Instagram where you'd like to see that vlog since it is travel related. I wasn't sure if I should post it here on my Because I'm Crafty channel or if I should put it on a secondary channel, which I've been thinking about starting for a while. I just haven't done it yet. But you guys voted on a poll on Instagram that you would like to see it here. So here we are. I'm finally getting around to editing it all. It was a lot of content. And I also just wanted to put in as well that I didn't self-vlog, and by saying that I mean like vlogging like this with my camera as much while I was there as I wanted to or had planned to, because there's just so much to look at and I was just distracted by everything I was seeing and enjoying, so I didn't self-vlog as much. So that's why I'm kind of doing a sit-down video, and I've put all my content together here, so I'm just going to watch it and then tell you guys as we go along about the pictures and some of the videos that I've inserted. So I guess we'll get into it and talk about how day one started. So our flight from Toronto Pearson was scheduled for 11:50 p.m, so midnight. But it didn't take off until around, I think, 2 a.m. There was something wrong with the original plane and they had to wait for another flight to get in to use a different plane, and then they were rushing to get it cleaned and ready for our flight. So we're actually really lucky to have taken off that night. I think we could have been pushed back even further. So the only thing with that delay was that it pushed us back getting there to London. So by the time I think we actually got to our hotel was around 3:30 in the afternoon. So we had planned that day to pick up our London pass, which is like a tourist pass that came with the package that my mom purchased for our trip, and the office for that pickup closed at 4:30. So we decided not to try and chance it to make it there because we were so exhausted. I don't think I slept on the flight at all. So we took a little nap, we ordered some pizza in, and then just basically had a shower and went to bed. So that day was a bit of a write-off in a way because we did kind of want to get a head start on having our pass so that the next day we could just go and do whatever we wanted. So instead, day two, that's what we did first. And let's go through what we've got here. So this little video clip that I put in of the escalator in the underground, I wanted to take videos while I was in there because they're so steep. The underground is very different from Toronto's subway station because there's so many stations that come together for transfer points. And I gotta say, one of the things I loved most about London was the underground, and I feel weird saying that because that probably seems insane. But I think the first few days it took me a while to get used to where we were going and figuring it all out. But once we did, I felt really proud of myself for not having to use my phone and just looking at the maps and figuring it out, because I remember moving to Toronto for school. It was so stressful trying to figure that out because I'd never used any of those systems before, so that was really fun. And one of the first places we went to, we wanted to walk down to a few of these squares in the area where we had to pick up the London pass, and we came across the M&M store, which I know seems kind of silly of a place to visit, but my mom has always been obsessed with M&Ms. It's pretty much her favorite candy. She collects the candy dispensers and everything like that. We have actually a container, I can see it from here, that is full of different ones. She used to buy them at Christmas every year. They don't sell them as much anymore, so we definitely had to go into the M&M store, so we were kind of fooling around in there and having fun. Look at all the M&M room. There you are, Mama. There's M&Ms everywhere in here. It's like 4 floors. All the way back there. Gotta go up here.
Thank you, and have a comfortable day. Please return to the view screen to see your current color move.
took some pictures at the M&M store as well. And the staff was so nice there to offer to take our picture and everything, so that was really fun. The little M&M mascot, the M&M set up like the Beatles. We made it to Trafalgar Square. And over and behind me is the National Gallery. Very busy area. So as you can see on day 2, I did do a little bit of self-vlogging, but it pretty much drops off from this day. So like I said, we traveled around Trafalgar Square, did a lot of walking this day, and just kind of looked around. But so beautiful, so beautiful. And then we made it to Piccadilly Circus and walked around all of there, and I thought that it was funny that on the crosswalk it says look right and look left depending on which direction you're facing, and I think that's a brilliant idea. We do not have that here because we drive on opposite sides, and I guess I'm just used to looking both ways, and there's a lot of one-way kind of areas in London, so I don't know, it was just kind of cool to see that. And of course we went to the giant Piccadilly Circus gift shop. We were in there quite a few times over the whole trip, and we're kind of laughing at some of the memorabilia and stuff that was in there. I think Piccadilly Circus was one of the coolest like squares or areas to visit. There's just so many people, so many cool things and cool stores. We went into a lot of them multiple times, so and definitely hit that subway station quite a few times as well. And then we traveled down to the River Thames to go to the London Eye. We thought that it was part of our London Pass, but it wasn't, and we decided to do it anyways just because it's one of those kind of, I guess, famous things to do, tourist attractions, but it was definitely one of the coolest things that we went and did. So for those of you who don't know what the London Eye is, it's like a giant Ferris wheel with these little pods on it, and it spins around really slowly, and you get a kind of bird's eye view of the City of London. And we did it during the day. We thought about doing it at night, but thought that since it was kind of our first day there that we would be able to see more if it was during the day. So I really enjoyed doing that. And it was kind of funny getting on and off because it's still moving as you're getting on and off, so you kind of have to jump onto the pod as it's like moving. So it's kind of weird, but it's going slow enough that it's not, you know, nothing's gonna happen, and there's people there to help you and everything, but it was kind of interesting. And as you can see here in some of these shots, Big Ben, which we learned is only the Bell's name. The tower is actually the Elizabeth Tower, but it was all boarded up. It's getting renovated. So as you'll see soon, there's a video of me pointing at it, and I'm like, it's all boarded up, you can't see it. So we were kind of joking about it when we were there, because that's kind of one of the some things that you go to London to see, or that London's known for, and then you get there and it's all boarded up. But we definitely seen some pretty cool stuff anyways, so worth it. So these are just some of the views from the London Eye as we went around. Definitely recommend to do. You can do this or the Shard, or there's another one that you can go to that's you can kind of get a bird's eye view, but definitely something I would recommend, especially on one of your first days, because you can kind of get a whole overview of the city. And there's a picture of Buckingham Palace from the back side. Some of the bridges, lots of bridges in London. Tried to get in lots of selfies with my mom because she hates taking pictures. Made a reservation for dinner. So we went to Jamie Oliver's restaurant near the theater that we went to see Aladdin, and we had carbonara and this like lemon gelato or sorbet. Oh my god, so good. That was like one of the best dinners we had there. And then yeah, we went to go see Aladdin. So this is my outfit here. I wore my Austin Cami dress and the pink lace top over it, and I just had like a little side purse that had like a little bow on it. And Aladdin was amazing. If you have not seen it yet, go see it. It was just an awesome way to finish off the day. It was a long day, but it was perfect. And now we are on to day 3. And day 3 in London, we did another day of long walking. So here I am, we're next to the telephone poles. Of course, we had to take pictures of the telephone booths. And then as we were walking, we seen the little monument for the women of World War II, which I thought was a really beautiful monument to see. It's got all of the kind of outfits of women of that time, so that was really cool to see. I don't know, I just really enjoyed that for some reason. We wanted to go to the Cavalry Museum to see the history of the kind of military in London and around the world. So just going along, and we did see this part of the changing of the guard on this day, and then we go to Buckingham Palace later. But I did enjoy this because there's they show a lot of clothing and the dress of the military throughout the history, so I find that really interesting just because it's clothing and it's very special, and all the horses were of course very beautiful. So the next few pictures, you're just going to see some stuff from the museum that I found really interesting. Of course, like I said, a lot of the wardrobe and clothing and hats and all that kind of stuff, accessories that were in there that I thought were pretty cool. Lots of embroidery and gold stitching and just very fancy and beautiful stuff. So after being inside, we went outside for the changing of the guard, and I believe some of the like the cavalry horses that are there go from there to Buckingham Palace and all of that, so you'll see them coming in and changing. after the Calvary Museum, we wanted to go to Westminster Abbey. So along our walks, we went to the little park that has all of the kind of statues. So of course we got a picture of Churchill and some other ones that are pretty famous. I have lots more pictures, but I just inserted some of the more famous ones, or ones that I thought were pretty cool. Westminster Abbey was pretty interesting. Of course we don't have many pictures from there because you can't take pictures inside. I just got kind of the inner park area, or grassed area, but I didn't know that they kind of tombed everyone, which I feel like I should have known that. Neither did my mom. So it was kind of just a bit of surprise that you kind of just walk in and the whole church is full of dead people. I don't know, I guess I didn't realize that that was kind of what they did back in the day. So to me, I mean, I'm not a very religious person, and I have nothing against anyone who is. You can do whatever you want. But I did find it a little bit creepy being in there. It was just kind of weird to me. I will say that when we did go to St. Paul's Cathedral later on in the week, I did enjoy that a little bit better, and I'm not sure if that's because I was more prepared for what I was going to see. But I just found the setup of Westminster Abbey, just the way the church was in general, I just found it very odd. But like I said, I'm not well versed in that world, so I guess it was just me being ignorant and not knowing. But it's not something I would say don't go to when you're in London, because I do think it's a very historical place to go see and be a part of, but just something to put out there in case no one knows that. So yeah, we kind of walked around Westminster, and of course went up to see the Elizabeth Tower and Big Ben a little bit closer, and of course, as you can see, all boarded up, and then the bridges and all of that. So as we were on the other side of the Thames, we could see the London Eye and all of that a little bit better. So then we hopped on the river cruise, one of the river cruises that was a part of our London Pass, so that we could make our way over to London Tower, so that we could do that attraction, because we really wanted to go see the crown jewels and do that whole bit. So going on the little cruise down the Thames was definitely really exciting and fun. And once we did reach the Tower of London, we took a picture in the little booth that they have available for you. Anyways, I'm standing here in the little booth trying to look all serious, but I'm laughing. Can keep a serious face. But there you are, there's the real dude there, and the crown jewels. Of course, a lot of these places inside you could not take pictures, so I don't have things from inside. But if there's a few places to go to in London, I would definitely recommend, out of the ones we've seen, definitely go see the crown jewels. See the beefeaters, and they did a little changing of the guard here as well.
You get it on the internet.
Escorts to the word, by the centre, we march!
Thank you very much, folks.
Yes, well, thank you.
So I just wanted to show you guys a picture of the Shard, which is an all glass building, I believe. And as you can see at the top of this picture, it's a little bit see-through in the sky there, and that's because it's open at the top. And so I wanted to show you that picture that I took from the boat cruise, because that's where we went after. We actually went up the Shard. It was a part of our London Pass. So the next few pictures and videos that you'll see is from the views. So there's one level, like the top two levels of the Shard. So the second to the top is all closed off, so meaning there's a ceiling. And then when you go to the top one, there is no ceiling. It's completely open to the top. So it had kind of like a turf grass and patio and everything. So it was really, really interesting to be up there and see London from the top again, just like the London Eye, just this was a lot taller. And in these little videos, I know I have a lot of kind of moving things that are around me, but for some reason I really like to watch the trains and the tube station go through, so you'll see a lot of the videos I took of the bridges and stuff, and all the boats going through the Thames and the little river cruises and all of that. I don't know, I found it really interesting. So we stayed up there for quite a while just to enjoy the view. There's really not much to do up there other than to go up there. You can get some drinks and I think a little bit of food or some like snack items, but we mostly just stayed up there and looked around and went up to each level a few times, and it was just kind of a bit of a relaxing moment after the long day. And actually one of the people who worked there pointed out at one point that you could see way off in the horizon, you could see Windsor Castle. So you could just see like the skyline and then like a little kind of bump in the skyline and then like straight again. So you can really see it very well, but he did point out that there are some days that you definitely cannot see it, so that was pretty cool to see. So a lot of these videos are sped up just in case you didn't know that. So you can see the bridge opening and closing for that sailboat that went through. So now we are on to day 4, and on day 4 we went to Buckingham Palace to see the changing of the guard. Now of course this is something that is kind of difficult to see because there are just so many people there. So you'll see some videos and pictures that I've sped up just to kind of get through it quicker, because it is quite a long process. Here you can see the horses coming in from the Calvary Museum, which we've seen on day 3. But I could not believe the amount of people that were there during that time. It was very, very busy. So many people arrived there, and we got there pretty early, but it was still pretty filled up. So if you are going to go to Buckingham Palace to see the changing of the guard, definitely get there at least an hour and a half early if you want to get a really good spot. But at the same time, it's really not that exciting of a thing to watch. It's something I guess you can say you went and did, and if you went to London and didn't, I feel like that's a bit weird because it's Buckingham Palace. That's kind of one of the main, you know, attractions around London is, you know, the royalty there. So it is kind of something that I feel like you have to go and see, but it's definitely one of the more boring things to see. And then I got my mom to take a picture of me in my So Over It ultimate trousers in front of the gates. And there's just some more pictures here as well. And then we went up to the Mews, which is part of Buckingham Palace, but that's where they hold everything for their traveling, all their carriages, their cars, and more of their horses there. So that was pretty interesting, just because of the kind of glamour and just gold everything. I didn't realize that they had so many carriages and ones that are for specific occasions, and you know, so-and-so's rode in this one and this one, and this one's used for this, and it was just very interesting to see something that I didn't even realize was something to go see. So, and this really big gold one at the back is like, I guess the most special one that they have there, so definitely wanted to capture that one on video. And then we went to the Queen's Gallery, which is also part of Buckingham Palace. So I would say if you are an art fanatic, then definitely go to the Queen's Gallery, but for me, it wasn't something that I totally loved and enjoyed. But again, it's not my favorite thing to look at. I would rather go and do something else, or, you know, even just go to a cafe and sit and enjoy. So depending on what you're totally into, I think the Queen's Gallery you would enjoy depending on what kind of exhibit they had or something like that. But the next few pictures are from there. I did enjoy the first exhibit, which included a lot of, I think they're from India, and a few other places. I can't totally remember, but I'll try and insert the name of the exhibition. But there are gifts and different things that different royalty have been given and bought and brought back to London. So the collection was really beautiful, very intricate items. So that's kind of the first few set of pictures that I've put in here. There was another exhibition that was included that had a lot of art pieces and pictures, paintings, writings, poems, stuff like that, but that to me wasn't as interesting, so I didn't include it. And then we did a little bit more walking and kind of came back around to Buckingham Palace at the end of the day, just to take some more pictures and stuff like that. So we kind of walked in a big circle after that, and I really wanted to get like a little time-lapse video here of the kind of roundabout around Buckingham, so that's what you're seeing here. And of course, a very busy area, lots of people. And then we walked down to the Churchill War Rooms, which is it's in the Parliament area, and they're basically, it's an underground bunker that they created during World War II that was meant to protect them from bombs, and everyone that worked there or was part of that area believed that they were protected from any bombings that were happening at the time, but they actually weren't. The building would not have sustained any bombing like they believed. They thought they had protected it from, but this was one of the most interesting things to me. You got to tour the whole thing, and they had it set up basically exactly how it was back in the day. After World War II, everyone just kind of got up and left that area, so almost everything was left the way it was, so it was pretty much all original. So I thought that was really, really cool. They had like each little bedroom labeled, like this is where Churchill slept. They had like a telephone room and everything. It was just really, really cool. So definitely one of my top 10 things to go see in London. And then that night we decided we had to go and get fish and chips, because you can't leave London without getting that. So we went to Poppy's, and I just had to take a picture because I've never seen such a huge portion of fish and chips. So that was really delicious. One of my favorite meals that we had while we were there. Now we're on to day 5. And day 5 we went to Kensington Palace. So we got there nice, bright and early because we really wanted to go see the Lady Diana exhibit, which was all about her fashion. So you'll see all these pictures that I took. I included almost all of them, so there's a lot from this exhibit. But this was the most interesting and cool thing that we went to see. And I do apologize for the picture quality. The way they had it set up and the lighting was really difficult to take pictures. We were, of course, allowed to, as long as there's no flash, but it was difficult to capture. So I'm sorry that the lighting isn't so great, and capturing some of the details was a little bit difficult. But they had so much of her beautiful clothing and gowns, and even casual wear as well. And then they had like a little card with each outfit to describe what she wore it to and what the event was. Sometimes there's a little kind of anecdotal story to go with it, but just beautiful, beautiful garments. And the way they had them set up, it was almost like they were floating in midair. It does look like they're on a mannequin stand from the base, but from the top you couldn't see anything. So it's almost like they made a plastic form that went inside the dress somehow. I honestly have no idea how they did it, but definitely a lot of work went into this exhibit. It was beautiful. I did just want to mention this purple dress with the armhole. I took a picture of that because that was just so interesting of its shape. But beautiful, beautiful work. And I'm going to be putting some of these pictures on my phone later so I can post them to Instagram. I just haven't got around to doing it yet because there's just so many that I really want to post. So definitely, if you want to see them a bit longer, I will post some of them on Instagram. The other thing I really enjoyed from this exhibit, which you'll see some photos in a minute, is the sketches from the designers when they're working with Diana for her outfits. So those were pretty cool to see as well. A lot of them had their own kind of style, and even some of them that were from the same designer would have different styles depending on the year or maybe the person that actually did the sketches. So I thought that that was really cool as well. And then also Kensington Palace had a lot of things to do with Queen Victoria, and so that was really beautiful as well. You can see this dress that I believe it was Queen Victoria wore her this dress. There's like a dollhouse, and there's just some really cool things in here. I think Kensington Palace, I gotta say, out of everything that we see in London, was my favorite. So I did try to include a lot of the pictures that I took of clothing and different items that they displayed here, because I know that's more interesting for this channel. And next you'll see here the widow's cap that the Queen wore after Prince Albert's death. She pretty much wore thereafter. So I thought that that was pretty interesting, the love story that they portrayed between the two of them at Kensington Palace. It was really quite amazing, the things that they would give to each other, the letters and love notes and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. You can see all the delicate beading and embroidery and all the sewing work that went into a lot of these outfits. It's pretty amazing what they did back in the day. Then they did have some crowns and jewelry that was part of the Victorian era family. So of course those were really beautiful. I enjoyed these actually a little bit more than the crown jewels, just because these to me were more pretty and more princess-like, whereas the crown jewels that were at the Tower of London were more kind of like, they're more royalty, more I guess showy. You know, they're trying to up the last one, and you know, look at me, I'm the king or queen. So those had a lot of different colored jewels and gems in them, so those to me were more showy and look at me, whereas these were more pretty and kind of princess, and I don't know, I just liked these ones a little bit better. I really liked how they had the kind of Lady Diana side and the apartments of the king and queen, Queen Victoria, and all of that, and showed how they lived and all the rooms and bedrooms, and you know, this is the ladies' dining room, this is the king's dining room, and all that kind of stuff. So it was really beautiful. Then we went outside. Of course, you see the big statue and the gardens here, which were so beautiful. So I got my mom to take a picture of me there. And yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful area. And if you don't know about Kensington Palace, William and Kate live there with their children, and I think Prince Harry and Meghan are there right now as well, if I remember right. But yeah, very cool place to be. So after that, we hopped on one of the kind of tour buses that was a part of our London Pass, and we made our way over to St. Paul's Cathedral. So these are just kind of the shots that I took while we were on the bus. And the Lanesborough here is this hotel that used to be, I believe, a big hospital. And I believe we were told it cost between 10 and 20 grand, sorry, in pounds a night to stay there, which is really absurd. So kind of crazy to see the fancy people coming in and out of there. Like I said earlier, I really enjoyed St. Paul's Cathedral better than Westminster Abbey. We walked all the way up to the upper galleries, which were so many steps. My mom was making fun of me because I was more out of breath than she was, and I told her that, well, everyone else is out of breath, you're the only one that's not, so something's wrong with you. No, she's very active. So that was very, very beautiful and fun, and a lot of those places you could spend all day there because of the audio guides. So again, at some point we just stopped listening to them and went around and walked to see whatever we wanted. And we weren't sure where we wanted to go for dinner that night, so we ended up going back to Piccadilly Circus and went to this steakhouse. And so I had to take a picture of my steak for my boyfriend because he loves making steak, so I wanted to show off my nice steak, and it was very delicious. So day 6 was a pre-planned day. It was a tour day that came with our travel package. So the first stop was Windsor Castle, and as you can see the flag flying here, that means that the Queen is home. So she was there when we were there. The only thing that was closed that day during Windsor Castle was the Queen's dollhouse. I think they had the dollhouse closed because they're doing some sort of renovation to it. So that dollhouse is very famous because it has its own electricity and working plumbing. And yes, I did say dollhouse. So that's why it's very famous, but that exhibit was closed that day because they were fixing it. So we didn't have to go through that area, but we didn't have a lot of time as it was because it was a pre-planned tour. So by the time we got in, we only had about an hour. So we walked through Windsor Castle really quickly, seen everything that we could. Again, this is one of my favorite places that we went to see. Very beautiful. And we did walk through the church there where Meghan and Harry got married, so that was really cool to see as well. And then we did get stuck here right at the end with the changing of the guard there as well. So we had to race out of there real quick to catch the bus, and then we were off to Stonehenge. The church actually where Meghan and Harry got married also has a kind of tombed area, and the Queen Mother was there as well as Princess Margaret and a few other more recent names that I recognized. So I am going to assume that the Queen will be there because that was kind of one of my questions after seeing all these tombs of all these kings and queens and, you know, really kind of famous people in the kind of royalty realm, and you know, prime ministers like Churchill. He was at St. Paul's Cathedral, so it got me thinking, where is the Queen going to go? And I know that sounds a little bit morbid to think about, but when you're seeing all of these, you know, names, it kind of does make you wonder. And our travel guide did tell us that her favorite place is Windsor Castle. She finds that Buckingham Palace is just a working space, and she doesn't like it there. So when we seen the Queen Mother's name and Princess Margaret together at Windsor Castle, it did kind of make me think, well, maybe that's where she plans to be when she passes. Again, I know that's weird to think about, but I think you can understand when you're seeing all, like, everyone kind of in tombs, it does kind of make you think what her plans are, seeing as she is kind of she must be the longest running monarch, as far as I know, so it does just make you wonder a little bit when you're going through. So we did head to Stonehenge next. We were on the bus for a while, and as you can see, there are some people inside, which is not kind of normal for the public. They do hold little ceremonies and stuff, so it did seem like a pagan wedding to me, but again, not totally sure. So it was pretty interesting to see as well. To me, boring. I could have skipped it. I know it's very historical and, you know, it is a sight to see, but it is also a bunch of rocks. I know that sounds weird, but, you know, I'd rather go to, you know, like Lady Diana's fabric or fashion exhibit or something like that, but it was part of our tour, so it was definitely fun to go see. And then we did, our last stop was at Bath. We went to see the Roman baths. Again, that was very interesting but very weird at the same time. So I was actually also surprised that you could literally sit right beside the giant bath and take pictures. There was no kind of blocking you of where you could go, other than they obviously don't want you in the water. I mean, it looks pretty disgusting, but yeah, very interesting. And then our tour guide Andrew encouraged us to go to Independence Spirit. I'm sure he goes there all the time because of these tour trips, but I did go in there and buy some really cool beer cans for my boyfriend. They just had really interesting designs on the back, and we tried some honey mead, and I actually really enjoyed that, so that was kind of cool to go in there and have fun with everybody. And day 7, our last full day in London, and as you guys may or may not know, if you've seen my sew over at Fabric Hall, this was what we did on the last day. And I did mention in that video that it was a Sunday, so a lot of the other fabric places and things that I thought we could have gone into earlier on in the week, we couldn't because it was closed, and of course because it was a Sunday, I didn't quite think that far into the days as the trip was going along, because it was just going so quickly. But you will see some same clips in here that I did have in that video. So for those of you who haven't seen it, you can see these here now. But of course I did buy a lot of fabric there, so you can check out that video if you'd like to see. But beautiful, beautiful shop. This is the Islington shop, and had such a fun time there. And here is the lady who helped me cut out all my fabric. She was so helpful and amazing, and told us where to go afterwards. We actually walked up further towards Angel Station, and there was a little market there. We stopped and had something to eat, and it was just a bit more of a chill day just because all the other days were so crazy. So it was definitely really nice to just go and buy some fabric and enjoy ourselves. And I really love in the sew-over shop how they have the fabric and the embroidery loops. And I actually wanted to do that in my sewing room here. I just haven't done it yet. I thought that it would be really cool to put some of my Katelyn fabric from Africa in it. So once I get some more hoops, I'll definitely put a few up. And then as we were walking along up to Angel Station, we came across a record store. And my boyfriend had requested that I try and find one to buy some records for him. He really loves music and loves to DJ. So he wanted me to go in and see if I could find any kind of cool records for him. So the people there were also really amazing to help me with that. And then here I took another video when we got down to the underground, because again, I don't know why, but I really enjoyed taking the underground. And then we did go to Gold Hawk Road just to take a look around. So here's a few pictures of some of the fabric shops we walked by. We did go into one. But again, I bought so much at Sew-over, I didn't feel the need to super look while I was there. And it was very similar to a fabric shop in Toronto. And then the last place on this day, we said that we have to go to a pub because we had not been to one yet. So we went to the Old Cock Tavern, which is the place of, which is a gin palace, it says. So we got the Sunday roast, and that was probably also one of the best meals we had there. We had, I think I had the chicken kind of Sunday roast dinner, and my mom had the roast beef. They had a giant Yorkshire pudding, and oh, it was so good. And as you can see in this picture, last night in London, my mom tried some grapefruit gin. She's not a drinker, so the bartender was so nice to help her pick something to try. And I had my usual rum and coke, which is my drink of choice. And that is everything we did in London. It was a very, very busy days. The next day, which would have been day 8, we got up pretty early and packed all of our stuff, and then left for the airport around noon and took off at 3 and got home, I believe, around 7 or 8 p.m. our time. So we got home at a pretty good time to be able to just get home, lie in bed, and go to sleep. So it was a wonderful, wonderful trip. I enjoyed it so much. I think that if I had a reason to live there or a job in London, I would definitely live there in a heartbeat. It was so amazing and beautiful, and I enjoyed the energy there, and just everything about it I really enjoyed. So if you're thinking about going to London, I definitely recommend it, and definitely check out some of the places that I went to. There were a few that we didn't end up making it to, but they weren't, you know, on our top list of things to go to, so we definitely hit what we wanted to. And I'm so happy that I got to take lots of pictures and videos and share it with you guys, because other than putting it up on YouTube just for other people to watch, I think it's really cool for myself to be able to go back and watch the vlog later on in a few years, just to remind myself of the trip and all of that. So let me know down below if you enjoyed this type of video. If you guys would be interested in seeing what I would put up on a second channel, let me know. I know that a lot of people that are into kind of creative sewing or DIY channels don't always like personal channels, but let me know if that's something that you would be interested in watching. It is a lot to kind of edit videos like this, so I'm not sure if it is a top priority for me right now, but definitely something that I've kind of had working in the back of my mind. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and head over to Instagram. I'll post some more of these pictures, finally get them onto my phone, and I definitely want to share some of those Diana pictures of her fashion and dresses and all of that, because those were really cool. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys have a fabulous week, and I'll see you next time, crafters. Bye!